Entitled parent get mad because I brought a PS5, then became racist. Police called, by user Dance. So I'm still laughing about this situation. It literally just happened today, August 20th at 9 am. Went to Walmart to get some meat and diapers and then went to check the gaming section to see if they had a discount on some games I want. Noticed they had the first PS5 I see on the wild since the launch on the cage there. I thought, oh, that's great. I already have one, but I could make some money flipping that or something like this. Called the Walmart associate that can open the cage and he got the unit, and different than other stuff in Walmart you have to pay right there on the electronics section, you can't go to the cashier near the door and pay. $549 paid, got my receipt, and then is where I met Karen and her son. Right after I paid I turned my cart and I see this boy yelling OMG mom the PS5 and pointing at me. The lady comes and asked me where did I found it. I told her was in the PlayStation cage, but I believe it was the only one they had. And we had this conversation. K equals Karen, M equals me, SC equals spoiled child. K so you said this is the last unit? M I believe so ma'am, you can ask the Walmart guy there. He overheard and yelled nah that was the last one, we just got 2 units. SC but mom it's been 2 years of you telling me you would get me a PS5. K so don't you want to give me yours? You're like 30 and my son will use way more than you. M nah I'm sorry but I already paid for it. Good luck in your search though. K you did not pay for it. You're not even near the cashiers. Your people don't even play video games. M excuse me? Face with tears of joy my people what do you mean my people? K Mexicans. I know you guys. Your accent is horrible BTW. At this moment I thought I should pulled my phone because I knew where this was going. I've seen in the internet many times but I never expected that would happen in a small town in New Hampshire lol. M first of all, I'm not Mexican, secondly we're done here. I paid for the unit and it's mine. You can throw a tantrum but nothing will change. Good luck. SC jumps on the ground and begun to kick the living hell of the floor. K you're a piece of trash. My son needs this and I'm taking. You're not even from here. Sand N, this is new, never heard that before BTW. The dude from Walmart that helped me getting the console from the cage is black. I think he thought she called him the N-word for some reason. And he start yelling at her like Karen GTFO. Karen puts her hand on my PS5 and I instantly push her away. She started to yell that I assaulted her and people called the cops. She kept saying I was a sand N-word and calling me steroid user and some other shit. I just moved away and wait for the cops to arrive. The cop who got there was Hispanic. Face with tears of joy I tell him what happened and show the receipt of the console that I purchased with my own credit card. Walmart dude was total king and was on my side the whole way. She got angry and called me sand N-word one more time in the front of the cops and they put her in cuffs. Asked if I wanted to press charges and I was like yes of course. Face with tears of joy. Went back and tipped the Walmart dude $50 because he literally got my back completely and because I actually pushed the lady. Being a 6'2" dude it could been bad for me. So that's my Saturday morning. If someone wanna buy a PS5 Horizon Edition in North Mass/NH let me know. Face with tears of joy. EDIT1 thanks for all the kind of words. I didn't expect this to blow up lol. Able to sell the console to someone on my town via a Facebook group. Made $50, tried to not scalp the shit out of it. Never buying something to flip again. Face with tears of joy. Face with tears of joy. Reddit wants to murder me. Entitled Parents ignores me when I say not to pet strange horses, by user Light Fury Dragon. I'm a 27-year-old woman and I have a black horse, the color is important for later, named Ebony, and I have her at a boarding stable where I used to get riding lessons at before getting my own horse. For some reason though, horses tend to attract entitled people though, since this wasn't my first encounter with them here are the cast: me, entitled mom, I will call Barn Witch, entitled daughter, I will call Barn Goblin, and my old trainer who still works there. So, I had my horse tied up in a second where you have room to groom them and able to tack them up, and was brushing her down, when Barn Goblin showed up, wanting to pet Ebony. I told her not to pet her, since I didn't know this kid and it is not a good idea to go near strange horses with the risk of being kicked, since horses can kill if they kick. Barn Goblin screams out, "Mommy, she won't let me pet the black horse." That's when Barn Witch showed up, huffing, "Lady, I have a kid and she wants to pet your horse." No, it is not a good idea to pet strange horses, since they can be skittish, I tell her. Barn Goblin wants yours though, she only likes black horses and the trainer only let her ride a white one. Barn Witch snapped. I'm sorry, but this isn't his horse, it's mine, and that horse the trainer brought out is better with new people, others aren't, I say, trying to keep calm. Right then we heard Barn Goblin scream and her hand was bleeding, since she tried petting my old trainer's new horse, since she was the only other black horse there, and this horse didn't like strangers at all, resulting in Barn Goblin getting bit pretty hard. My old trainer came out to see what was going on, and I will say he is someone you don't want to mess with. After I explained what happened and what was going on, my old trainer snapped at them, telling him to leave and find another place to ride, since not only did this kid get bit for not listening, but was yanking on and using spurs on his other horse, which wasn't allowed. I just smirked when Barn Witch and Goblin were kicked out, never to be seen again. Sorry this wasn't my best story, but wanted to share it. Update, for those asking me, the trainer did see the spurs, but Goblin wouldn't get down or remove the spurs when he asked her to, eventually forcing her off with a warning. The biting was the final warning. I heard this from him after they left, since I wasn't in the arena when it happened. For those asking for pictures, it's not a good idea, since the horse that bit Goblin was an off-track thoroughbred that wasn't socialized properly, and my own is a rescued Tennessee Walker that can be skittish, so both horses it wouldn't be safe to have a camera near them. Update to my parents getting my brother a car on his 18th birthday and not mine, by user CheeseItBitBoi. Since I couldn't update in r/ida, I came here to do it. This is my original post link. I've not logged onto this account in roughly 5 months. So now I can tell you all the rest of what happened before college starts. But before that, there's some things I want to get out of the way from previous commenters and messagers. I literally needed a car because there was no way for me to get a job without one. I had no personal transportation, and live over 10 miles from the nearest bus stop. So for those who kept telling me to give the car back because they think I was either too spoiled and to accept life is unfair, or that I shouldn't take handouts, or I shouldn't accept gifts from crappy parents, etc. Please just stop. My inbox was so crammed full when I logged back on that it took some time to go through it all. It doesn't really matter anyway though. I did get a part-time job that later went full-time for the summer after I graduated. But 3 weeks into working part-time, the Subaru blew the head gasket while on the highway at like 45 miles an hour. The temp gauge redlined and I had to pull over and call for help. My grandparents took a look at the car and found that someone had ran a lot of gasket sealer in it, and it was still in the coolant. The car was basically band-aided back together before my parents bought it, and was then barely hanging on by a thread. It drove great, and I was never pushing the car hard as I'm kinda a slow driver. My parents claimed no prior knowledge of the problem. But their only real reaction was to shrug and say it was karma for making them get me the car in the first place. Well, that was a mistake because my grandparents were right there to witness that, and they tore into my parents like none other. My grandma told me to go wait in my room and let them sort this out. It was 2 hours before I was called back into the living room. My parents were on the couch and both looked like they'd both been metaphorically hit by a truck. My uncle and 2 other relatives were there now too. My grandparents had gotten it out of them that when they bought the car, they just looked for the cheapest thing they could find clothes in the area that still ran, and bought it no questions asked. They didn't even bother to inspect the car, let alone properly read the ad for it. My uncle, who knows a thing or two about cars, told me that the engine would basically need to be rebuilt because the head gasket warped the block, and it cost more than the car is worth to fix it. I had to call into work and tell them I was unable to make it in because my car was dead. They understood and basically put me on a sort of unpaid leave for the moment. Now I want to point out that what happens next I had no involvement with. My grandparents just told me to chill for a while and let them and my parents take care of this. And they did. A few days later they came back with a 1999 Honda Civic hatchback with 180,000 miles on it. It was white like my Subaru was, and drives great. It's not all-wheel drive like the Subaru was. But it's great on the road and gets better gas mileage. There was also a list of all recent repairs done to the car. Things like a new radiator and stuff. My uncle also went over the car before giving it the okay. I thanked everyone profusely. My parents though had all the elation of Benstein on Valium. They said very little and just walked away. There wasn't even that vibe they had last time of acting like they were giving a new toy to a brat. If I could put it to words, the way they acted was just pure defeat. The Subaru got resold later for $400 since that was the best we could get for it with the blown head gasket. And that money was put into my savings. That's only one half of what happened though. You see, when I said I did better in school than my brother, I wasn't kidding. My brother got a 30% scholarship after he finished high school. Well, I got a 50% one. Not at the same college, of course. But at one comparably good that was also closer. To say my parents were shocked is an understatement. Of course they just both looked unhappy as soon as the shock wore off. I decided it wouldn't be a good idea to poke the bear by asking them about it. But my grandma thought otherwise and poked that bear. And I mean really poked it. First she asked if my parents were happy for me. And they claimed they were. But really didn't show in their attitudes. So my grandparents finally asked what their problem was. Why do they dislike me? Their second son was doing great, and even went above expectations. And they can't be happy about it. Did they want me to fail? Were they hoping I'd fail? What is the deal? My mother looked really upset, and my father couldn't look me in the eyes. They both meekly said they were happy for me. And managed to say they want me to take the world by storm when I go to college. And even said they'll help pay some of my tuition as well, just like they are for my brother. My grandparents both sharply said that they better keep their word, because there should never have been any favoritism, period. I thanked my parents for their help. Got a light if not limp handshake from my father, and a very stiff hug from my mother. It all felt so forced. I was and still am extremely thankful for the car and the tuition. But my parents just drained the room of all emotion. I ended up asking if my grandparents knew what it was that made my parents act this way. I asked if I was an accidental pregnancy or something. And they gave me the "it's time we told you" look. Well, I'm not adopted like so many asked, but I was unplanned. Sort of. You see, my parents wanted both a girl and a boy. But got 2 boys instead. My brother came out as a boy, so my parents were really hoping to get a girl on the next go. And they had a prior agreement to stop after 2 kids. They never got a girl. My grandma told me they refused to find out my gender till after I was born. They were convinced I'd be born female. And they'd bought a lot of baby stuff for a girl. And they didn't get a girl. My grandma said I ended up using all of my brother's hand-me-downs till I was 3 years old because my parents had bought so much girl stuff in advance that they couldn't use. So I was just a disappointment to them from the time I was born. My grandparents said that they know my parents are screwed up. But they've been the way they are for so long now that there's no point in expecting them to change. Since then my parents hadn't spoken to me much about college. In fact, they ignore the subject as much as they can. And thanks to some of the warnings I got from people who messaged me making me paranoid, I called the college I've been accepted to and made sure to tell them that if anyone calls or emails pretending to be me, or my parents call trying to say I'm not coming, then to call me for a double or even triple check if anything like that happens. I mean, I kind of doubt my parents would do that sort of thing. Especially after everything that's happened. But I felt like playing it safe was the better option. Though there was something that I really didn't expect to happen. And that was my brother calling me. He called me out of the blue to talk. He said our grandparents called and told him everything. He told me he was sorry for what happened in his own way. And he hopes that once I'm on my own, I won't need to ever come back. He actually admitted to me that when he finishes college, he's going to stay in the state he's in because he likes it there. Our parents I do know actually really want him to come back when he gets his degree. But it looks like that's not happening. I said I don't blame him, and I may do the same. The rest of the conversation was a bit awkward because we aren't really used to speaking to each other much anymore. My grandparents and the rest of the family held a surprise party for me over the weekend. And they made it almost like a repeat of my brother's 18th birthday. There was a DJ, and a big chocolate cake my grandma made. I couldn't thank them all enough. My parents attended the party. But they were like wallflowers the entire time. They didn't say or do much. Just stayed sitting at a far table in the corner and drank beer quietly. The look of defeat they had was even greater now. I think the party wasn't just to congratulate me, but to also rub in my parents' faces that they should have done better. Because the rest of the family have made their disappointment in them clear. They seemed like they wanted to leave the party for a while. Can't say I blame them. They were being humiliated into staying where they were. My grandma said that you're never too old to be taught a lesson in humility. As for my personal life, my part-time job went to full-time after high school, and I've been working hard to build my savings before I leave for college. I made minimum wage, but a job is a job. And I want to leave it with my best effort put in before my 2 weeks' notice are up. I doubt I'm gonna be coming back here to make another update. And after my first post I'm just so tired of all the negative comments. About 95% of the comments on my original post were positive. And I wanna thank all of those who had nice things to say. You people rock. But the negative comments were so bad that I found it to be mentally draining. Some of the people who commented such negativity honestly feel like they've got worse issues than me. Lots of projecting maybe. If anyone had something harsh but constructive to say, that was fine. But some people just raged at me like they were foaming at the mouth. I really don't want more of that. LC/NC father just requested I pay for his affair baby's college, by user Kriam Puff Delight. I'm sorry if this isn't the wrong place for this, but this has just happened and I'm still a little pissed off. Just want to vent somewhere and writing/typing this down helps me keep things straight. I've never hidden the fact that my father and I are estranged due to him cheating on my, formerly, doormat of a mom when I was still young, allegedly because she had cancer and had to chop off her breasts and was thus, in his exact words, no longer a woman. Yes, I know, insane logic, but logic has never been his strong point, nor have I ever hidden the fact that I resented him for favoring my golden eldest brother exclusively, to the point where he was the only one of 4 children, brother, me, 2 younger sisters, to ever get birthday presents. Either way, my tiny little Asian mom finally found some spine and divorced him. He fought for custody of my eldest brother at the time, only my eldest brother, the rest of us could go fuck off. Literally. He booted us out of his house. And my mom, being the perfect Asian doormat wife before this, had no way of fighting it. No experience with work, in a foreign country, with 0 savings. So yes, I still remember something from nearly 20 years ago and yes, I fully admit I still have a very big grudge against him. In fact, I distinctly remember telling him to fuck off to his face on more than one occasion after reaching adulthood, and somewhat successfully adulting in the process, and to never expect me to donate even the dirt on my shoes to his funeral. He still tries to get into contact with me regularly despite that, to persuade me to have children, because surprise, surprise, my eldest brother turned out disappointing, utter trash in his own words. Personally, I think the guy is doing okay, not great, but not get into Harvard excelling like he used to, so I'm now the better option to provide for his perfect heir. As if kicking me out of the house with my mom and 2 sisters so that we had to be homeless for years, never really happened at all. So he took my eldest brother and somehow ended up marrying a 3rd woman, even younger and prettier than the 2nd one. Since then, not counting the 4 of us, he has 8 children, the youngest of whom is only 7 or something, while the eldest of the other 4 just hit college age. I know it's not their fault, but I refuse to interact with them at all. See, my dad's filthy rich from playing the stock market and sweeping up real estate during the Great Depression in 1998, and this played a lot into him acting like he was a big-shot self-made foreign businessman that donated actively and was a philanthropist, so I know he has money since I still see him doing that shit actively, not by choice. He's just a rather public figure in my country. Today, out of the blue, he suddenly called me and said he was going to be sending me a receipt for Kid 4's college. No hello. No nothing. Straight to business, worded as if it was a done deal that I was gonna fork out 50k for sure because I'm finally earning my own keep, so it's my turn to contribute to the family. Sure enough, my email dinged and voila. Receipt for first year of college, plus various other expenses. 470k. I just hung up and am seriously considering just moving to another country to get rid of him. Your child owes you nothing, by user Mulatto7. I was recently at a party where the primary attendees were all in their 60s and 70s. There was a small group of us in our 30s, and while most of us have kids, one couple does not. There were a few offhand comments from the elder attendees that were along the lines of the intrusive "oh, when will you be having kids, and children are the best." We all just rolled our eyes. Then this one woman, whom I do not know, sat down in our youth group and started talking about having kids to the childless couple. I interjected, spoke a little louder than the aging woman, and said if you don't want to have kids, you don't have to. They require constant supervision, they're loud and expensive. Then the old biddy turned to me and chimed, but they'll take care of you when you're older. I proudly said, oh no they don't. If they don't want to take care of you, they don't have to. But yes they do. No, their lives are theirs to live as they see fit. I brought them into this world, and it's my responsibility to care for them as they age. As I age and need assistance, I hope my children will be able and more importantly want to help me, but I will not place that daunting expectation on them. I could see that she'd never heard or thought of this concept. Her world started to crumble. Before she said anything else stupid, she hurriedly got up and left our group. I hope she went to her kids for a heart-to-heart, but I doubt it. Update. I've seen a lot of comments, but I'm not addressing many because it's not necessary. I have a great relationship with my parents, and will gladly assist them whenever I can. They've already told me that if they aren't able to live in their own house, they will gladly relocate to an assisted living facility that we, myself, my sibling, and my parents, choose together, probably close to my home. My parents do not want to be a burden on either of our lives because they've seen the stress it causes for family members, nor do they want us to have to wipe them, change them, etc. so they have some dignity and privacy. But if the time comes and I'm the one who is available, I will gladly care for them as they cared for me. I love my parents. I do not feel guilt-tripped into providing care because it's what I'm expected to do as a child. The ideology that having children is necessary, and that they're required to care for you when you're older is a major fault.